Hey Ashley, I see you. Hey everyone. I Aspire. It's a beautiful screen name. Okay. Hey guys, this is gonna be quick because I'm hungry. I didn't eat today, like I should have. I was working, but I get asked a question a lot, and I just wanted to take it to the YouTube page. It's not, and this is something that like you can't like I can't do a training on this, right? It's going to be your choice, but I wanted to give you guys some perspective of why or why not someone would invest in rental properties before they would invest in their own property. And this is for new investors who are just not sure. They have $20,000. Does it go for their own home or does that go for two investment properties? And I'm going to show you, for me, that would be two investment properties. I'm going to show you the difference between me, my clients, and you, so that when you go to make this decision, you can understand with clearer eyes what would motivate someone to do that versus getting their own home. So, hey, Ashley, I Aspire. Hello, you guys. Um, yeah, so it's always an individual thing. So in real estate, just understand in real estate investing, what I found, there's going to be straight rules and facts and numbers that are going to drive you. But in order to make a business you actually love and respect and like, and you glow when you talk about it, it's incorporating the business you actually want to see, not the one you think you have to get. And I'm very much so when I work with people about like, get something you actually like, because this is yours for a very long time. Like I've had my properties for 5, 6, 9 years already, and it's a relationship. We grow together, right? And everything you do is a relationship if you really want to get into it. But so yeah, I just want to give you my perspective. So that question just depends on you. And there's no one answer. It really just depends on how fast and how soon you want to get to financial independence. I put off owning my own home until I had 3 rental properties. And even then, I still got a home that the bottom unit with about $1,000 of modifications and construction, we rented out the bottom portion. So even when I got my own home, it's not really my own home. It was an asset that can create income for the family, right? So like, I mean, so I would say honestly, for some people like me, it's like you don't get into house 3 and 4 before you would invest in a rental, your own like actual final home. Because for me, financial independence is I have $3,000-$4,000 coming in. I have a mortgage note of $1,500 to $2,000, but that's easily can be taken care of by a rental income. So I wanted to give you some examples of the people who did do it first before they have it. I work with a lot of people in New York and DC. And in California, and out there, the houses are $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. When you ask them, do you get your own house first? Well, if they get a $700,000 house, not only are they paying $3,000 to $4,000 a month to live there, but their debt to income ratio is so skewed they can't even get a mortgage for anything else. Same for my New York people who are looking at $800,000 for a Brooklyn brownstone, right? So I'm dead serious. So and I got my start. I was in like Arlington, Virginia for the majority of me doing this, and even then the houses start at $400,000. And yeah, you can afford it, but there's definitely something to be said for when you're living in a places like that. It's not even a question, because you're like, once I get a home in this area, I won't be able to invest. And so for them, it only makes sense to invest first. So you can get a house like that so you have income coming in to supplement what you're doing, so you're not so beholden or house poor or beholden to that note. So Selma, hey, how are you doing? Selma is 70 years in January 30th. She'll have 70 years. 70 years young. This year my husband's 75. We need a house without mortgage or rent. Do you know how that could happen? Yeah, you can definitely downsize. I can get to that a little bit later about my ideas about that, if anything. So So one, it's like when your cost of living is so high, the idea of owning your own home is really just out of the question. And there's a lot of people. There's people who live in Austin who live in an apartment. They're like, I can't afford in Austin. Like, it's too expensive. And a lot of the people who live in like San Francisco's and New York City and DC, they actually have a higher cost of living. So the salary that you would get doing the same exact job in DC versus like a rural town can be 50 to 100% more. It can be double. I know I was making double what other people would make if they were in the private sector, working in DC with a higher cost of living bump and that government money and salary. So that is one area in which, like, it's not even a question. It's very obvious that you would choose this route so that you can one day have a nice house, but not be so strained that you have to take a job that you might not like anymore in order to keep it going, right? And so I was definitely in that boat. I've worked with people who knew in 6 to 8 months that the company was going to be closing. So in that case, it didn't make any sense either for them to get their own property first and then be out of a job, not knowing if they're going to move. And that is sort of like a big motivator. So some people have been thinking about real estate investing for 10 years, they tell me, but like, their job's about to go away that they created an entire life around. That's like a motivation for them to get started unlike anything else. So in that case, being beholden to a mortgage when you're facing uncertain job prospects or just like a set end to your job, like then it's like, again, there is no choice. Like, of course, I'm not going to buy my own house. I'm going to buy a property that can sustain me during whatever these the economic downturns are. So I will get to your questions after I finish about just the different scenarios so people can understand what goes into these decisions. Okay? But I do see your questions. I'll just scroll right back up to answer them at the end. And so that is some perspective. Now, when this really comes into play are the people who like live in Ohio's and in Indiana and North Carolina. So like at the end of the day, you literally can buy your house. At the end of the day, you can buy investment properties. And when it comes to it, it's definitely a personal decision and you sort of know already what you're going to do. I would say if you're living in a place that is not experiencing that it's relatively low cost for you to get like a nice house, I would say get your house first. So if you can buy like, there are some places like in the South or in the Carolinas where you live, and like a nice house is like $110,000. Your monthly mortgage is anywhere from $700, $750, $800. And because of that, you can get that and still get 4 or 5 investment properties, and it doesn't greatly skew your debt to income ratio if you have like a job that pays enough that you could still get a few extra properties. I don't want to go into details of like the numbers because that can sound a little complicated, but if you're making between you and your husband $80,000 a year and your take home is $6,000, $7,000, you have an $800 mortgage, well, you still have quite a bit of space and leeway in which the banks will loan, because banks loan up to 50% of your gross. So if you bring home $6,000 between the two of you, they loan up to $3,000, 50% of your gross in monthly income, right? And so if you have an $800 mortgage and your other expenses are low, you still have a little bit of a wiggle room and income coming in that you can get separate rental property. So I would say economically, if you can get a low price house for like under 120, or just proportional, less than 30% of your income or you and your spouse's income, I would say go ahead and get that first. But if it starts creeping up, or if you're in or also, yeah, I would say with that, like maybe like my ideas, these are just my ideas I'm throwing out with my experience. Maybe if I was in a market that seemed to be experiencing exponential, like, there's people like Charlotte, like 20% population growth in 10 years, right? Like there are certain places like San Jose, I think that was at 10% growth in population in San Jose, Texas. Now, if you're in a place and you want to buy your own home and you're settled there and it looks like it is really experiencing a population growth and the prices are really skyrocketing, that would be a case in which I would purchase first just to hold on and get the equity that is coming because of the growth of that city and the jobs that might be coming into that sector. Right? So there's not too many cases in which I would say buy your own home, but if it's under like 120K, which there are places when you get outside the major city centers where you can get a nice house for $90,000. That's even here in Virginia, right? If I go 20 minutes down the road outside of Charlottesville, which is like the major city, a town of 20,000, I can find that and still drive into here in 20 minutes. Or if it's like exponential growth and you can still get in while it's low, I would say go for it. But outside of that, if you're paying more than that, if you're not experiencing that growth where you just want to grab hold, I would still personally, just because I want financial freedom and passive income, I'd say that's when you would just go ahead and invest first. So it's just like this line of like what you pay for does not skew you, because I do work with people who call me. They're like, I live in Seattle. I live in California. Our house is $500,000. How can I make this happen? And like the answer is make more money or move, because right now you're so cash strapped to get a traditional mortgage. I mean, of course, if you want to do seller financing or flip, you want to do something off like that, go for it. But just going like the straight route trying to get something when your house takes up so much more of your income ratio, that's when you're going to get in trouble. And, I know people want like a Hail Mary, and maybe there's out there. I just haven't figured it out yet. So, so buying like a $600,000, $500,000 house and trying to do this, you're really going to be cash strapped, because just making your own payments, let alone trying to, get the money and the funds up to do a renovation. And so that's what people are faced with. So I just hope that put that in perspective. I'm just going to go over any questions you guys wrote for me. And then I'm going to go eat, because we didn't take care of ourselves the way we should have today. Okay, so I got, you're 70 and your husband's 75. We need hey, Selma, move. If you can. I know sometimes with family, you don't want to, but if you can't find that property house where you live, there are always other places that you can, especially if you have some rental income. And, don't be afraid to like move to Costa. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think I am actually nowadays with the world going in the directions it is. I'm even going abroad. Like, I'm going abroad to work abroad for the next couple of years. We're selling our house. We won't have the mortgage. And it's actually cheaper for me to live in a like a cute, quaint Italian seaside beach town for like €1,000 a month all in than it is for me to live in the United States. So like, don't limit yourself if you're open for a little adventure. If you're not, you're just moving outside of those big cities into these rural areas, and then you're going to get to some deals that you might be able to sell your current house that you're in, or get like a 50, 60, 70K house that's in a good neighborhood that you wouldn't mind living in. So I think the more mobile you are as far as moving, the better you're going to do. I aspire. House hacking is a great way to get started as well, assuming your market supports that. Yeah, house hacking is good. I just always want to say, like, sometimes when I was younger, house hacking would be a thing. Now that I'm in my 30s, I don't know. Like, I got my big furniture. I'm settled. Like, going into a house to move moving is such a big ordeal. House hacking can work, but like the idea of me doing that and moving to another house, then moving within a year is absolutely like, I'm not doing it. I've grown people's stuff. I got secretaries. I got expensive. I got this Pottery Barn couch that I paid a lot of money for that I'm not just going to give away. So you start getting, and maybe there's a play for like being Spartan, not holding on to these material objects, but they are things that have an asset and a value. They are part of my net worth. Like, this is my value. Like, these things that I could possibly sell at like 50% of what I purchased it at. So, like, the idea of house hacking for some is good. I do tend to think it's like a young energy game. I didn't say person. You can have a young energy and be older than me. A young energy game where you're just like, yeah, let me do it. I think it's an easier singles game as well. When you start having kids and a husband, it's something they throw out there, but people like me are just like, I'm not doing that. It's too much work. Too much work trying to put 5% down on a house or 10%. Like, a lot of people were just like, I'm just going to pay my money. So no, it is a way. I just want to always put it in perspective for people when they hear it, because I know it sounds great, but when it comes down to it, some people just don't want to do that. What is house hacking? House hacking is when, say, you have a lower down payment requirement if you want to move into your primary home, your owner-occupant home. I'm going to live here. You can get a FHA loan for 3.5% and get like a duplex or residential or a fourplex or something like that, or 5% or 10% from a banker if it's going to be your primary residence. That's a lot less money to put down in order to have a rental than if you have to put 20% that is required by banks for an investment properties. Some banks will go down to 15%, but 20% is normal. So some people say house hack because then you only put 5 to 10% down, get into the house, live in it for a year, and then move to another house. Oh, Selma. You know what, Selma, too? I'm watching this crazy video that has inspired me. It's on Netflix, and it's about how to live mortgage free. And it's about people in England, because, people in England are like, there's 60 million people, and I think it's like the size of Oregon. Um, yeah, if there's a CIA fact book, you can see like the population and see how it compares to the U.S. So they're going crazy, and people are living mortgage free, and they just have all these people who did it different ways. Some people paying it off early, how they do that. Some people living on boats. Some people making their own tiny homes. I would recommend that for you. Not that you have to go that extreme, but I know that things like that inspire you to maybe think creatively about what you can do if you want to go that way. Delicia. Yeah, Delicia just explained what house hacking was. Thank you for that. Thoughts on wholesale? When I started on wholesale versus rental properties first rather than wholesale, I would start on rental properties because you do work for wholesaling. Wholesaling is not like an easy thing. And I see, if you're going to be running around for 2-3 months, I'd rather you put all that energy into coming up with like $10,000 for a down payment. Like, why don't you hustle that up? Because then you can have the money for the rest of your life, right? So I'm equating it to amount of energy expended for what you get. To do all the running around, talking to people, mailing things, overhead, to make them $2,000-$3,000. I mean, that's good, but like, what if you just took that time to get like a part-time job to raise fund, or start an online business that can bring you an extra $1,000 a month for the rest of your life? Like, to me, the energy you put in, I'd rather you do something that sustains you long term, because you put a lot of energy in. You put as much energy as I do to find and renovate a house, right? So if you're going to do that much energy, so pure just time and effort, I'd rather you do that. Do you have a good ratio of how much of your income should be going towards the investment property without overspending? I do not. I don't do it by ratio so much. You can only go up to 50% of your ratio if you want to get like a regular mortgage. And then it's just how much income your property is making so you can put away for expenses. But I did not come up with a ratio. Every single house is different. It's how much does it cost. Okay, if I get this and I get a mortgage or a personal loan, it's $500 a month. And it's just that you're looking at what your income is. My biggest thing, though, outside of ratio is if it's empty for 4 to 6 months because something happens and it's just empty for some weird reason, which should never happen, but maybe it does for some weird reason. Maybe there's some big thing you have to do and you don't have the money for it in order to give it inhabitable, and you have to save up an extra 3 months. Can you comfortably make that payment on your own without the tenant paying for it until it gets up and ready? To me, that's my biggest thing. Do I have $3,000 in reserve to keep it going until I fix what needs to be fixed, as well as the other money to fix what needs to be fixed? So that's what I did. Love the international moves, Lisa. Yeah. yeah. It's actually cheaper. Like I'm reading up on people like in Italy and Portugal, which is like you can live right on the beach. And they're saying they pay like $400 a year for health insurance. I'm paying for a health share, and they are so quick to tell you what they don't cover, right? Good thing I'm a healer, okay, and I do my own healing. It's $400. I'm paying $450 for what, right? So it's very interesting. Like living abroad to me, honestly, is not a bad solution, especially if you have health issues and you can fly into the States 2 to 3 times a year to visit family, or they can fly to visit you once or twice, so you see each other like 2 to 4 times a year. I really think people should consider it. I'm someone who's more nomadic, so like I moved from Vegas to Ohio to DC, now I'm in Central Virginia, now I'm going to move again. So I am naturally comfortable moving. That's just me. I like new, exciting, different things. It stimulates me and gives me an energy. So I know other people are not like that, but I always want them to say, open your mind, because it's only been net positive, the moving around, for better opportunities. They have been better. It's not that grass is always greener stuff. It's been like a lived experience, and that you learn and grow as a person, as a spirit. So don't underestimate living in Canada, or like they're the safest city in Mexico, or maybe not Mexico, maybe Costa Rica. I liked Costa Rica. I spent 4 months there. It was very safe. It's a very low cost. I mean, you can buy a house or something, or rent someplace out for $400 a month. Get good food. It's easy to meet people and make friends. Diverse enough, you know what I mean? Like for me, so and that you have their national healthcare system where you're talking hundreds of dollars for the year, and that includes all doctor visits. That includes all checkups, things for your kids when you're pregnant, and surgeries. And just because it's not America doesn't mean that these hospitals are all they're not up to par. You just have to see per country have different emphasis on healthcare. Part-time job for $300 a week. Yeah, I'd rather have you do that and just get like a rental property. Went to FH route. Aspire was talking about true with house housing. Went to FH route on multifamily single purpose. I'm currently engaged. It can be a lot to navigate if I was older and married with kids. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just want people to like put it in perspective. There's some of us who are like, nah, let me just save up $5 more extra $1,000, right? Because this isn't like the highest. This isn't the highest bar to get, although some people aren't there. It is an obtainable bar. How do you figure out the demographics of an area and whether the market is growing in population? I go over that in my training, but I go through the Census Bureau. You just got to be careful. That's a really big place to go. And then there's a lot of different factors, and so there's a lot of different places that you have to just go into search for. I can't go into all of them because you have to check a lot of different matrix to really, you can't just look at population. It's not just that. You have to look at a lot of other factors. That's just the one main one for you to look a little closer at something. Yes, we foreclose properties vacant with land. And what suggestions do you have? Selma, like overseas? I don't go to Belize. That's where everybody else is going. Any place where there's low taxes and good health care and it's safe. Yeah, so that's it for today. I gotta go eat. I didn't, like I said, I wasn't doing my due diligence. I did get I did juice, which is good. It raises my vibration. Did juice today, but didn't eat on a regular schedule. So I'm gonna go say goodnight to my little 2-year-old. But yeah, I hope to get this house sold as soon as possible. I'll still be doing this. I'll still be coming through. I'll still be talking with people every day, but it'll be like on WhatsApp and through my Zoom. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. It's just a question that continuously comes up. And I hope these perspectives really just sort of see that depending on your circumstances, it really does lay out what you got to do. And just always be mindful of those economics. And if you can get that house and still invest. And in some markets, you can easily do that. Other markets, it's right in the middle. And others, it's like, yeah. Like I have such a nice house for $110,000. And I still make enough money where I can get 2, 3, 4 more investment properties before coming up to 50% of my gross income. I hope that was helpful. And for all of you guys out there, thank you, Shanti. Yeah, she said I always have the most practical advice. I'm going to tell you, like, I'm practical all day. I think it gets on some people's nerves in my family because I'm like, why are you doing it like that? They're like, I don't have time for this today, Lisa. So I do work with people who want to invest in properties. I help professionals. The majority of my clients are Black professionals investing in Black neighborhoods. So if you guys are interested in working with me on building your portfolio to $2,000 to $4,000, that's what I help people with. And you can go to fill out a strategy session on my page if you'd like to work with me, because I love working with you guys. It is a gift. It is a gift and a blessing, and the work that we do is so important because I see people once they work with me and they leave me, oh my gosh, like they're in a different world. They're making money. They know how to do it. They're educated. They're confident. They're like, this is easy. And it's just like, this is literally a gift because I know like I'm helping people start first time generational wealth. Right? Like for my family, first time, right? Like just first time having assets, first time having passive income and a little bit more control, and it feels good. And it's just something, if I can help bring as much people along, I would like to. I aspire. Hey, Ashley, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Exactly. Yeah, I try to bring as many people as I can along. So good luck. Have a good night. And thank you guys for taking the time to listen. Hope it was helpful. And with that, bye.